Hey everyone, it is time for another episode of the Damron Show. I am recording this on both the podcast and the YouTube channel, so you can get it wherever you want to. But today I'm going to talk about energy and mental clarity. So I've noticed this has been kind of a thing for most of my career, but I've specifically noticed after this summer, in the last couple months, really, that so many women are coming to me with low energy, just feeling so tired and feeling like they need to take this nap every single afternoon and just feeling like they're having to drag themselves to the coffee pot and just feeling lethargic. And obviously there can be a lot of reasons for this, right? So I'm going to give you some ways to kind of today, 10 ways to help yourself with energy, setting your lifestyle, setting the stage for good energy. Now, obviously, if you're feeling like this is a big shift for you, or you have a history of anemia or thyroid issues or condition, blood sugar stuff, like let's go get this figured out, right? Like, let's go get some labs done. Let's see what could be possibly going on. Is your B12 low, your folate? That can also contribute to this and be part of sometimes an anemic picture. And so I'm not suggesting you just ignore it and kind of move on. But I do think it's important to kind of I always encourage my patients, and I do this for myself too. When I'm feeling tired, I like to ask the question instead of kind of getting into that, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. I'm fatigued. I can't do this. Why am I so tired? I don't want to take a nap anymore. What's wrong with me? Like when we do that to ourselves around symptoms, that tends to just honestly make it worse. And so what I encourage my patients to do is if you need an afternoon nap every day, or you're just dog tired and you're tired of needing so much sleep and whatever the case may be, I encourage you to flip that coin over and think about or ask yourself the question, why is my body asking for more rest? And I'm such a fan of doing this, you guys, of mindfulness and doing inventories of our life and looking at it from almost like a bird's eye view of saying, okay, all of a sudden I feel more tired than normal. What's changed? What am I doing different? Is exercise different? Is nutrition different? Is sleep different? Sleep hygiene different? Stress and burnout different? What is actually going on? Are you busy? Are you burning the candle at both ends? Like, let's do like this bird's eye view inventory of our life, and let's ask the question, what's actually going on that could be contributing to this? I think in a lot of cases, again, I want to not remove the medical part of things, because I do think if you are tired and it presents in certain ways, like let's definitely look at that and make sure that your labs are all great and normal. There's nothing that needs to be treated in that regard. You're sleeping well. You don't have something like sleep apnea, for example, that can cause excessive daytime sleepiness. And so I do think that it's always important to rule out kind of like the physical, right? Like these things that need to be treated. But in my opinion, a lot of women, despite women who are dealing with those things, they're burnt out. We're burnt out. I did an episode just last week on why I feel like women are so anxious and irritable and snappy, and fatigue is in there too, because we're burnt out. We have a ton on our mental load, which is like this invisible workload that, is the remembering, the planning, the thinking, the trying to delegate right to other people. That's exhausting. And I also think that, we're trying to be all things for all people. We're trying to break this glass ceiling as women, which is amazing. And I'm all for women doing what they want to, progressing in their career, starting businesses. Like I am the first one in line for all of that. But we have not taken off any of the other stuff either, right? Like we're still mostly the default parent in our households, not always, but tend to carry more of the mental load, tend to kind of have that aspect, tend to do a lot more of the household tasks. And even my husband's amazing. He is so great at doing things and helping, and I can delegate stuff to him. But I still carry a lot of the invisible mental load of, just this week, like school started last week, and, filling out the paper or the parent forms and the online stuff and getting the apps. And we started middle school. And so figuring out the bus schedule and figuring out timing. And those are all things that I did, my work schedule allows for, and et cetera. So, I never want to keep score in my marriage, but I have to do a lot of those things. And I think a lot of women that I speak to, in terms of patients and friends and colleagues and acquaintances, tend to express the same thing. And so I think, looking at our life, and I'm going to go through 10 things right now of things that I think we can do to really help get our energy back, and things that we might be doing even like non-intentional, right, that are just kind of like draining our energy. So especially in the midst of this busy season of life, right, like in this busy season we have so much else to focus on that we do tend to move ourselves at the bottom of the list, right? And so number one is balanced nutrition. And I know that you're so sick of hearing about it, and it's so annoying to plan out meals and make sure it's balanced, because we have way more going on in our life than figuring this out. And a lot of us are grabbing handfuls of goldfish or a bar or the drive-through, whatever, just to get ourselves fed. And I totally understand that. But we know that a diet rich in whole foods, right? So your fruits, vegetables, healthy fats, lean proteins, like that is the key here. When we eat highly processed foods, high carbohydrates, low nutrient foods like low B vitamins, omega-3s, low vitamin C, sodium, potassium, when we eat low nutrient foods, we're starving our body of these great nutrients that are going to support energy production and support brain function for things like mental clarity, focus, executive functioning skills, all of those different things too. And so I know that it feels hard, but if this is an area where you're like, yeah, all summer long, I kind of just grabbed what was there, I was grazing on things. And the thing that's difficult is when we're not really paying attention to what we're eating, obviously the carbohydrates just tend to be the easiest thing to grab, right? The chips, the crackers, the bars, the whatever. And those things just tend to be higher in carbohydrate, highly processed, more preservatives, additives, all of that stuff, and less vitamins and minerals. And so instead of like feeling like you need to completely switch your diet and like flip your life on its head, could we honestly just start somewhere, right? So like if you're not eating any protein right now, you're not focusing on that at each meal, like maybe just start there. Look at each meal that you're doing, your current protein that you're eating, and simply just eat more. So for example, I am a creature of habit, but I get sick of, I do things like so much and then I get sick of them and I have to switch it. So that my breakfast is very much like that. Either I'm doing like eggs in some sort of way, I'm doing a protein shake, or I'm doing like oats or something like that. Obviously oats are very high in carbohydrate, which totally fine, but low protein for sure, low fat. And if I just ate a bowl of straight oats like I did when I was a kid, like I can remember going to school hungry. I'm starving and I'm riding this blood sugar roller coaster where I'm crashing and I'm like not feeling great. And so with oatmeal, it is really a simple thing and desirable. They taste great, right? But again, don't have all the components. And so I have been, for example, using this oatmeal packet that's called Healthy Warrior. And it has seeds in there, like sunflower and chia seeds or flax seeds in some of them. It has some healthy fats with that too. It also has really high fiber, which is great. Fiber helps slow that digestive process down, which means that our blood sugar does not get as high. It's really great for good energy, hunger, cravings, weight loss, on a side tangent, like LDL cholesterol, A1C, insulin. Fiber is important. Fiber is great for our gut health, which is also important for energy. And so that's what I do. It also contains 10 grams in there of plant-based protein that they've added. So I just add an extra scoop of my own plant-based vanilla protein powder. It tastes good to me. It is food. I was doing a protein shake all summer and all spring, like probably for 6 months now, every single day. And to be honest, I just got sick of it. I just got sick of it. And it's really great. And I kind of wish I wasn't sick of it, but I was just totally sick of it and really started wanting something else. I wanted to start eating my food instead of drinking it all of the time. And so here I switched. So simple example of that is, like I said, my original oats are not high protein, but I can make them high protein. So look at your current food. Look at the protein that you are consuming. If you're doing a chicken breast on salad and you're adding 2 ounces, like go ahead and add 4 or 5 ounces to that. Like beef up that salad with that good lean chicken. Look at anywhere, look at your meals and look at where the protein's coming from, and then add more of that. And yes, we may have to decrease the carbohydrates or the healthy fats a little bit to kind of make room calorically for that, but it's going to serve you in a really great way. That's the first thing that I would focus on. The second thing I would focus on, like I mentioned, is that fiber. So how can we add more fiber to this? Could we add nuts and seeds? Could we add some berries to things? Could we, whole grains? Let's look and see where we can start to add some different things. Sneak vegetables in there. Rice cauliflower is a great way to sneak vegetables in like your family's dishes. It's small and you can't really tell it's in there. So that's something that I do regularly. But I think looking at this as, again, protein, fat, fiber in each meal will help with hunger, energy, cravings, mood, and sleep, right? We do not want to be riding this insulin blood sugar roller coaster, because that is going to lead to, like I said, like not so great lab values in terms of blood sugar stuff or cholesterol stuff or inflammation. It's not going to make us feel great. And we're going to really notice in that hunger, energy, cravings, mood, and sleep, like not so great feelings there. Secondly is hydration. So I have this big, huge water bottle that is 30 ounces, I believe, in there, 32 ounces. I kind of make a rule for myself that I want to have about 30 ounces of water, and I add electrolytes to it. So I like Element. I'll leave the link for Element down below in either the show notes if you're on the podcast or the description on YouTube. But I love the way that I feel. I really do feel much more mentally clear. I really do feel more energetic, like to the point that a lot of times I don't even remember that I need coffee, because I tend to do that first and work out, and then I'm getting the kids out the door. And sometimes it'll be later and I'm like, oh, I didn't even have my coffee today. And that was not something that I've always had. I love coffee so much. Mostly for the ritual and the taste of it. So I tend to do like some decaf at that point, but besides the point, I love the way that I feel when I do electrolyte powder in about 30 ounces of water while I'm either working out or getting ready in the morning, depending on that first hour. It really does make a huge difference for me. I also recommend this for a lot of people, of doing it again in the afternoon. If you're feeling like you get that kind of brain fog, that fatigue kind of feeling in that afternoon, hydrate again. That can be a really, really helpful thing. Since I've started doing Element, so I'm not gonna lie, Element was really potent and I really didn't like it at first. Like it's salty, it's a very strong flavor. And so if that's you and you're like, I can't do that, you can start with like a Noon tablet, NUUN. Those are a little bit less salty. Although the sodium in there is what makes you feel really good. Sodium has gotten a terrible rap, but it shouldn't. And so you could start with something different if you wanted to, or just like if you get the Element ones, use like half a packet instead of like the entire thing, or even like a fourth is fine. It definitely depends on how much water you put in, how well you mix it up, of course, all of those things. But since I've gotten into like one whole packet in the morning, I crave is a strong word, but like really like my electrolytes again in the afternoon. My husband and I get this whole summer, we've gotten the Element sparkling water. And again, I've seen a lot of mixed reviews on that. If you don't like Element to begin with, you're probably going to think that that also obviously is very strong flavored. But if you do like Element and you like your sparkling water, you're going to love their sparkling water. So it's like our treat, both of us. We like can't wait to have it at baseball games or when I'm on my afternoon walk or whatever. It feels so good. So hydration, super helpful for mental focus, energy, all of those things. Third is regular exercise. So start with what you're going to be consistent with. If you're not doing any exercise right now, start with walking. Walking really does do so much for us, you guys, from our gut health. It increases something that's called short chain fatty acids, which is something like butyrate is one of them that breaks down your food really well for you. It also gets your blood flowing. It's great for metabolic health like insulin and A1C. It's great for your cholesterol. It's great for your heart. It's great for your brain. It's great for your bones. Like so many other benefits than just thinking of walking as like, oh, I got to do this to lose weight. Your body loves walking and moving. I also certainly think that, doing strength training is one of my very favorite forms of formal exercise because of all the benefits hormonally that it does for us, including human growth hormone and testosterone. And it helps us metabolically as well. So reduces insulin resistance and things like that. It helps our bones from preventing osteoporosis and osteopenia. So really, really great benefits for women in their 40s. I have patients in their 20s and teens even that I'm like, dang it, you should go lift weights because you're not going to have to do that much. And you're going to see just like amazing results because your body has so much hormone to them and that will set the stage forever. So it doesn't matter what age you are, like lifting weights is fantastic. This obviously is an obvious one, but quality sleep. If you're not getting good quality 7 to 9 hours a night of sleep, I think we can probably expect to feel tired, right? Like it would be weird if we didn't sleep well and we slept like this 6 hours, we're going to bed at midnight, like, just not having great sleep hygiene, and expecting ourselves to feel really energetic throughout the day. I have to say, while we're on this one, so part of energy is our circadian rhythm, right? So like in the morning, our cortisol level is really low when we first open our eyes. And then within 30 to 60 minutes, you get what's called a cortisol awakening response, which is where it goes really high as it's going to go for the day, ideally, and then starts to kind of like come down throughout the rest of the day and evening so that you are ready for bed at night. And then you get kind of a break from cortisol while you're sleeping so that you can rest and rejuvenate. So I think that sometimes with energy, I have to kind of give this expectation. So it is not realistic to expect your energy level to be the same at like 7 or 8 a.m. as it is at 3, 4, 5, 6 p.m., right? Like our cortisol levels are different and our circadian rhythm, our sleep wake cycle changes based on the time of day that it is. And so we have certain chemicals and hormones and melatonin and cortisol and all these things that change based on a biological clock inside of us. And so sometimes I feel like people with energy stuff that they come to me, they're like, well, I still get like a little bit more tired in the afternoon, and not everybody, but we have to really check our expectations too, because again, you shouldn't feel the exact same at 8 a.m. that you feel at 3 p.m. There should be some differences there, especially if you have, well, not especially, but also if you have worked at a computer all day and like you just been sitting there for 7 hours at that point by 3 or 4 p.m. and you're starting to just kind of feel like that drab kind of like lull, your eyes are getting heavy, but you've been staring at a computer all day and sitting down, your eyes are probably strained, right? So potentially use some blue light blocker, whether it's a screen over your computer or glasses or whatever. That could be really helpful for eye strain that makes us feel tired and our eyes hurt, which can be fatiguing in itself. And then get up. So if you've been sitting there, your body has no reason for a cortisol output, right? So when we move and get blood circulation going, your body kind of like pumps it up a little bit more. So if you're feeling tired, I always encourage my patients to get up and move a little bit. So it doesn't have to be long, but like 5 minutes, just get your blood flowing, get your heart rate increased just a little bit. And hydrate at that point. And usually that's enough to kind of get them going throughout the day. But if we have just been sitting for like 7, 8 hours by that point, I think we can expect to feel kind of tired by then. 5 is going to be obviously stress management. You guys, stress is draining. If you have ever, thought about how much stress you're under, and stress can mean different things to different people. A lot of my patients have been so chronically stressed that it's the new baseline. And they don't realize, unless there is an actual like burning fire in front of them, or like something that's like, yes, this is stressful, they don't actually realize that they're stressed, because it's just like they've been taking care of aging parents, or they've been raising kids, or they've been running a business, or they've been, in marital issues or financial trouble, or just doing a million things for a million people, or people pleasing for so long that their body has adapted to that level of stress, right? I certainly can relate to that. It's something that I've had to really like work backwards from, but I think that that's common. And so what we want to do is actually start to look at 3 different types of thoughts that we give ourselves and see if this resonates. So pressure, criticism, and worry thoughts tend to increase our stress response, and really after time is so draining. So if you're somebody who constantly puts pressure on yourself, constantly is really self-critical, being so mean to yourself about things, or is a constant worrier, chances are your stress response is probably part of the issue here, probably feeling burnt out. Cortisol has probably been impacted. And we would need to, in my opinion, thoughts are directions for our body. So I really encourage people and teach my patients to work on thoughts first. Stress management, again, like we talked about last week, is such a multifaceted thing. And I think, people are talking about the newest cortisol cocktail and, meditation and cold plunging or saunas or red light, like all that stuff is fantastic. I'm not saying any of that shouldn't be incorporated. It can be for sure, and can be really, really helpful. But if we don't address why we're doing that, we're going to continue to ebb and flow through this forever. There's only so much blue light or sorry, red light and cold plunging, and cortisol cocktails that you can do to teach your brain that you're safe, right? Like we need to teach our brain that our world is safe through our thoughts. And that can take some time and some more like mindfulness, and presence to do that. And something that I teach my patients. Number 6 is gut health, right? So gut health is crucial for energy and mental clarity, among a million other things, including insulin resistance and metabolism and weight loss and all the things. And so including probiotic, which is like good fiber, that feeds our gut bacteria. So including like probiotic rich foods such as yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kombucha, garlic, onions, bananas, all of those things help support gut health. And, if you do feel like you are having other digestive issues, bloating, gas, heartburn, indigestion, constipation, loose stools, any of those things, that should be addressed for sure. Number 7, we've talked about this all episode, but balance your blood sugar. If you're constantly eating high carbohydrate and then crashing, and then your brain's like, oh, we need some more right now because we're really crashing, and then you eat some more and then crash, you're gonna feel that roller coaster all day, every day. Ideally, like I mentioned in the nutrition part, number 1, we should stay full for about 4 to 5 hours after our meals. And that's how we know that we're sort of balanced. So if things like I mentioned, hunger, energy, cravings, mood, or sleep are off in not a good way, that's a really great indicator that we need to look at food and figure out, are you not eating enough protein, not enough fiber, not enough healthy fat, too much sugar? Like what's kind of going on there, and how can we help your body prevent those sort of energy crashes and brain fog from nutrition? Number 8 is detoxification, right? So our body has so many different detoxification organs, from our lymph system to sweat to kidneys to bowels, your liver, obviously, all of those things. And we want to consume plenty of fiber, like I mentioned for this, stay hydrated, eating cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, rice, cauliflower, kale, Brussels sprouts. Detox really does help prevent kind of like that sluggish, foggy kind of feeling, right? And so we want to make sure that we are detoxifying well. I have to say that I'm asked this all the time about detoxing. I am not the biggest fan of like the latest detox, right? Like I don't think that we're inherently dirty. I think that if we start incorporating all the things, even that I'm talking about today, that will help open up those detoxification pathways, and you will be in a better place. I'm not a fan of like doing a cleanse, like a really intense, low calorie, weird cleanse with a bunch of herbs, and then really cleaning everything out, and then just kind of going back to what we were doing, because then you're just going to continue the same pattern, right? And then you're going to feel like in another few months that you need this big detox, and you're going to feel maybe better, maybe not though. Sometimes that can lead to really low energy and headaches and nausea, depending on what you're doing. And so I'm just a big fan, you guys, of, you know me, I'm such a moderate person, and that has not always been my MO. That is actually something that I have fought to become. Because I've not been that for, in fact, I am not that person, to be really honest. I learned all of the things that I know in a really kind of all or nothing sort of environment. And it has taken me years to come back to more of a moderate, what's going to work? Do we need to be this rigid? And I cringe now when I see rigidity, inflexibility, all or nothing, fear mongering in like the wellness, health, hormone, weight loss, nutrition, exercise, any of those types of industries. So please be more moderate. I promise you, it's so much healthier if we even get into like the cortisol mindset conversation. This all goes together, and being less rigid, more flexible, less all or nothing will 1000% support your body, way more than the other way. Number 9 is breath work. So this is something that I haven't talked a ton about. There's a lot of research here though. So in fact, there's a book that's called Breath that's really, really a great book in teaching us how to breathe for our, like all of our body, right? So our pelvic floor is, it matters for breath work, our nervous system, our brain, all of it. And so one thing that I recommend is realizing that when we're in fight or flight, we're breathing like super shallow through our mouth right here. So we're, just like, that's kind of like that fight or flight, like stressy kind of breath. When we are in a great place of like this rest and digest, feeling calm, feeling better, we tend to breathe much slower, much deeper, and in through our nose, right? So breathe in through your nose and then out through your mouth. And you can even like hold your breath and do like this square breathing where you inhale for 3 to 5 seconds, hold for 3 to 5 seconds, exhale for 3 to 5 seconds, hold that for 3 to 5 seconds. And that can be really, really helpful at even just like getting oxygen flow to the brain, which will enhance energy and mental clarity, but also calming down that nervous system too. So breath work is extremely powerful. It really helped me, on a side note, heal my pelvic floor. In a way that I am still truly like amazed. Like I had the typical postpartum pelvic floor issues for years where I was, had a little bit of leakage when I jumped or whatever. And, even for me, like just knew that pelvic floor therapy was probably something I should be doing and just never made the time for it. And so I actually started through a workout program that I do. I started doing breath work that they do at the beginning of each warm up, and it solved the problem. Like it was amazing. So Breath, that book is also a really great resource for that. And then lastly, we can do something that I really encourage everyone to do in the morning, and that is exposure to natural light. So let me back up. So because we have that biological clock that I was telling you about with our circadian rhythm and cortisol and sleep wake cycle, spending time outdoors in natural light in the morning and the evening can really help regulate that circadian rhythm. So help with energy during the day and sleep quality at night. So if you work in a cubicle, like try to get out during the day. Try to go to a window in the morning when you wake up. Getting natural light first thing is really, really helpful. I know that we're starting to get into fall and it can get darker for those early risers, but as much natural light throughout the day that you can get, that will help your circadian rhythm. So anyways, I hope that this was helpful for you guys at just kind of giving you some areas, right? So we don't need to be perfect at every single one of these 10 things, but hopefully there was an area where you're like, yeah, I am feeling a little tired or having some kind of brain fog, like lack of focus, not feeling great there. Where could I maybe try some of these things, right? So is it hydration? Is it natural light, getting more of that? Is it improving sleep quality? Is it nutrition, right? And like trying to get more fiber in there. I think every single one of these things can be really helpful, but as per usual, we don't implement every single one at one time. We start somewhere. We start with one that we're like, yeah, that's something that I'm definitely not doing at all. And maybe start there and see, do it for a few weeks and see how you feel. If you're starting to kind of come out of that fog a little bit, if it's still there. I do think that if you have been chronically stressed and in burnout or have gone through something hard, or you haven't slept in years and you're first starting to kind of get better night's sleeps and stuff, it can take some time to kind of like dig yourself out of that hole. So keep going with it, and I think you'll start to feel better eventually, but sometimes we expect quicker results than what is maybe realistic. So and then, like I mentioned at the beginning, if you are worried about this and you feel like this fatigue came on kind of out of nowhere and you have had a history of anemia or thyroid, or you might have potential sleep apnea or any of those things, like please go get lab work done. I can help you with that if you want me to. I offer free 15-minute consults where we can discuss what's going on, what your patterns of fatigue look like, or obviously anything else that we discuss here, from perimenopause symptoms to PMS to periods to sleep to anxiety, mental health and stress, digestion, gut health. I work with women on all of these things, skin and acne. And so if you're interested in that, you can go to alliedamron.com/consults, and we can get your free 15-minute consult scheduled for you and see how we can best work together. So I hope this was helpful. If you have other friends or families, or you're a coach in some capacity and have clients that you are hearing that they're tired all the time, please share this with them. I would love to get this message obviously out to as many women as possible. Because it's free. So anyways, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll be back next week.